Do you know that feeling when a fan's heartbeat just sounds different? Today is one of those days when every detail, every possession, carries extra weight. The vibe in Boston is electric. There's sweat, there's frustration, but there's also hope and a new spark breaking through the shadows. A surprising turnaround might be forming, and the name that reignites this fire might not even be headlining yet. You won't believe what we've got today. So sit back, smash that like button, and let's dive right into the news. Taking a deep breath helps, but it doesn't erase the scar the court left on Saturday. When the rotation truly got tested, it became obvious how much every detail matters, from the first closeout to the last box out. The 128-101 loss to the Houston Rockets laid bare the gap between a group finding itself and a contender already supercharged for the top, led by Kevin Durant, who punished Boston in 3 quarters and didn't even need the 4th. It hurts to admit, but it's freeing too. Without Jason Tatum, the margin for error is microscopic, and every choice becomes identity. Start with the defensive standard. When the first line failed to contain at the point of attack, Houston feasted on early possession advantages. Long closeouts, late rotations, and transition turning into a slip and slide for balanced threes and backdoor cuts. Durant was the tactical detonator, killing switches with that unguardable mid-range and forcing doubles that opened clean looks for support players, exactly the scenario analysts outlined when projecting his fit with better spacing and simple reads. The message is crystal clear. This version of Boston needs to turn discipline into habit before the opening tip, because the talent across from you won't wait. On offense, fatigue taxed the legs and the mind. Slow execution, late reads in pick and roll, and rushed decisions that fueled the opponent's run game. Peyton Pritchard didn't sugarcoat it. We came ready, but we got punched tonight. Turn the page and get ready for the next. An honest summary of a back-to-back that left the team heavy and without the punch needed to balance the physics of the game. It's not an excuse. It's context. Over 82 nights like this happen, and good teams use them as a brutal lab. Without Tatum, the offensive map changes. The Celtics need to manufacture advantages with movement, cuts, and serial screening, not isolated talent. That means speeding up decisions, using Pritchard as a drive and kick trigger, giving Jaylen Brown dynamic touches to attack closeouts instead of starting static, and leveraging handoffs to relieve pressure on the primary ball handler. The good news: even in a blow, there were flashes of depth, and games like this leave tape to tighten spacing, blocking angles, and escape routes when the first option dies. Competitively, the schedule offers a quick answer. A chance to get back to .500 against the Utah Jazz, an opponent that, despite being 2-4, demands rim protection and glass control to avoid a repeat script. Joe Mazzulla's message is already out there. Intensity as a foundation, not an accessory, and constant communication so one bad possession doesn't poison the next 5. Fans felt the hit, of course, and flooded the timelines calling for more physicality in the lineup and less passivity on switches. A fair demand when the team's standard is elite and pride is on the line. All of this with an uncomfortable subtext. Houston is the measuring stick right now, and Durant's arrival cranked that bar higher for anyone dreaming of June. If there's a positive, it's in the transparency. Acknowledge the gap, accelerate fixes, and turn pain into callus for the heavyweight games to come. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day, because a rookie in green started changing the conversation about defensive identity and competitive hunger in Boston. It takes a second to feel how a punch like that changes the week, but the film doesn't lie. When a roster trusts its identity, it responds with adjustments, not excuses. Houston imposed tempo, physicality, and surgical execution, with Kevin Durant torching in the mid-range and drawing doubles that stretched the floor for role players, especially those 2 pass sequences that turned into balanced jumpers or free cuts in the dunker spot. For today's Boston without Tatum, that's an uncomfortable mirror. Plan A can't be isolation. It has to be advantages built through movement, reads, and continuity, from the first handoff to the short roll. There's a tactical point you can't sweep under the rug: point of attack containment and the first rebound. When the mothership fails to contain, the dominoes fall: extended closeout, cheap foul, second chance. And Ime Udoka teaches this as well as anyone, punishing every hesitation with no-frills execution. The fix is clear: less aimless auto-switching, more show and recover against mid-tier creators, and a weak side more glued to tagging the roller so you don't give up a layup line. Constant communication, because one miscalled possession becomes a 10-0 burst in 2 minutes in the 2025 NBA. On offense, you can unlock things with 3 Celtics identity tweaks: decision speed, real spacing, and repeatable actions that force bad choices from the defense. Pritchard as the primary drive and kick trigger speeds the reads and takes the defense out of its comfort zone, while second-side handoffs with Brown reduce loaded help and open lanes to attack closeouts, not walls. Shireman, who led the scoring in that game, needs to keep being the extra pass connector. One more touch and the defense cracks in the corner, especially when help comes from the strong side out of fear of the pull-up. Context matters for the fan base too. It was an emotional back-to-back, with travel and heavy legs, and even so the internal message wasn't panic, it was toughness. Pritchard voiced what the court showed: turn the page, not out of complacency, but as a method, train habits, cut repeat errors, and armor transition with better decision-making on the ball and the crash. And the calendar is cruel but generous. An immediate adjustment window at home against the Jazz, where glass control and discipline on Markkanen pick and pops become the group's focus thermometer. The fans demanded more physicality, and they're right. More minutes for rangy wings, more body on switches, less passivity in mismatches. That lines up with Joe Mazzulla's ethos, renewed at the helm, treating intensity as a foundation, not an accessory. And that's where the next story gathers steam, because a rookie kicked down the door with a mentality that changes the rotation's tone. And this still wasn't the most unbelievable part, because the kid from Madrid brought a hunger to Boston that makes noise without saying a word. Hugo Gonzalez didn't ask permission and, in 7 games, he's stamped his brand. A point-of-attack guard dog who sticks to a creator's hip and follows you to the parking lot. It's not just effort, it's early reads with the lead hand, hip angles, and mirror steps, veteran technique, rookie energy. Jay King, on Still Potable, nailed it. The most important early season development is having a 19-year-old wing who can take the opponent's best player in real stretches, holding the fort while the offense finds flow. For a team that needs stops to run and ease the half-court without Tatum, that's competitive gold. Hugo's physical toolkit fits Mazzulla's manual. Legal contact on the first dribble, systematic contests without chasing highlights, and chase over pursuit with active hands to kill the pocket pass. He's already dived on loose balls, battled on the glass, and picked fights for possession, and that has a cascade effect. The bench wakes up, the pace spikes, and the weak side gap gets respected. Offensively, he's still a work in progress, but there's value now. Back cuts behind sleepy help, catching on the slot for a quick extra pass, and attacking closeouts with 2 dribbles to collapse and kick to the corner. Scalable strategy. Deploy Hugo as a defensive run trigger in specific windows, start of quarters and post timeout, to shift the physical tone without burning early fouls. Against elite matchups, toggling between top blocking shooters and lock and trail on handlers, with the big ready to bump the roller, keeps the shell intact and avoids mid-possession breakdowns. And yes, Durant danced on the kid for a few minutes. That happens to everyone. But the competitive returns versus Maxey, Brunson, and Cunningham are real value for April and May. The fan base has already picked a favorite. Non-negotiable intensity, sweat that shows on film, and a new face turning hunger into identity. Brad Stevens hit on talent ID again, plugging in a cheap, young, high-ceiling piece that solves an immediate need and projects as a rotation pillar for the coming years. But hold up, because what comes next is even wilder. When a defender like this becomes culture, the team's standard climbs a rung without even looking at the payroll. If there's one thing that's crystal clear today, it's the bar. Contenders raise the standard, and Boston has to turn intensity into habit and adjustments into identity, especially while Tatum recovers and the rotation finds its new compass. At the same time, Hugo's spark changes the defensive tone and brings back the hunger that electrifies the crowd. Between the punch from Houston and the immediate chance to respond against the Jazz, the script is wide open. Now it's your turn. Necessary wake-up call or full-on red flag. Smart bet on the kid or a risky roll. Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe.